What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true banger. Today we're talking about the time that I got sold some fake wax. I got finessed. Hey, sometimes you do the finessing, sometimes you gotta get fucked. But before we dive into that, there's a couple important things that I gotta mention. First and foremost, this video is brought to you guys by Filter. Ladies and gentlemen, the #1 way to smoke covertly. This little device removes all of the smoke and odor from your sesh, dude. No more wet towels under the door, no more cranking the fan to max and opening the window and blowing out of it in hopes that your fucking grandma doesn't find out. You're a-okay with this little thing. I smoked a blunt the other day and blew into this, and literally no smoke or smell came out the other end. I'm not kidding. You could smack this thing at work. You could smack this thing at the mall. You could smack it during a lecture, dude. It fits into your pocket, and it looks way cooler than competitors' products, dude. It looks like its own little smoke device, almost like a little vape. No one's ever going to know you're smoking with this thing. It's absolutely perfect. You can use it with flour. You can use it with concentrate. You can use it with whatever you can imagine. It's perfect for carts, and it's good for vapes too. Anywhere you need to smoke covertly, this little thing has got you. Now, using discount code GOBLIN50 at the link in the description at filterlabs.com, you guys can get 50% off your next purchase. You guys, I personally would recommend the Filter Flip. This thing is awesome, and it has a little socket on the side to hold your device, whether it be a Juul or a cart, whatever you got, this thing will hold it on the side. It's perfect. I really do love this thing. This thing is sick. Hey, code GOBLIN50 at checkout. Go check out Filter, links in the description. And big thanks to them for sponsoring this video, pardon me. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. So, this happened so fucking long ago in high school. This happened so long ago that I hadn't even met Ashton yet, believe it or not. This was an ancient old classic story, okay? One so ancient and old, and it's just been sitting there waiting to get told. And now we're gonna tell it, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached deep into the playbook, and we've pulled out one of the classic plays for this video. So, this took place in the beginning of my junior year of high school. And at this point, I was smoking a good bit, right? I was smoking quite a lot, and I wasn't huge on dabs at this point. You know, dabs are still a treat back then. Nowadays, I just kind of decide, like, oh, am I going to take a dab, or am I going to, smoke some weed? But back then, it was always like, oh, I'm going to smoke some weed, and dabs are a delicacy. Dabs are something where, like, if I find it, holy shit, it's a good day. So on this particular day, I was being the hooligan I was, and I left school mad early. I showed up for 2 periods, and I realized, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, and I left because I wanted to get stoned. So I leave, and I'm smoking a little bit of weed, and of course, I'm on my Snapchat, and guess who's posting stories? It's Michael, the notorious school skipper, dude. This guy never showed up. So I hit him up, and I'm like, my dude, we gotta smoke up. He's like, absolutely, come through right now, let's get baked. So I bring the little bit of weed I have over. I had maybe like a little over half a gram left at this point. It was struggle times in high school. It definitely wasn't a gram, but I remember I didn't bring very much over to him, right? And we smoked through what we had pretty quickly, and we had to re-up. Now, we were, broke high schoolers. We didn't really have that much money. But we managed to pool together enough money to grab ourselves a little bit of wax. We were like, you know what? We can pool together our money. We'll each throw a 20 in. We'll get a nice gram of wax. So we're trying to find this gram of wax, right? We're looking around all over the place. And Michael's like, dude, we're not buying any more mid, right? Because the weed we just smoked, it was shit, right? I'll admit, we had not smoked good weed here. So we were intent on getting a nice gram of wax, right? So Michael's like, yo, I know just the fucking guy. And he pulls out his phone. And Michael always had the weirdest plug. I don't know where he met half of these people. He lived in a bunch of different nearby towns for some reason. I never knew why. He moved all the time. But either way, this guy just knew a million different people. But he didn't sell. So it was always he just got around. He got around. He's one of those kind of guys. So either way, we're chilling, and he's on his phone for maybe no longer than 20 minutes, and he finds someone. And he's like, yo, I got a guy. You got to drive. And I'm like, bet. No problem. Let's fucking go, dude. We'll hop in my car right now. Let's go get some wax. I'm excited. I literally can't wait. I'm shaking in my boots, dude. I'm fucking bussing, dude. We're cruising in my car. We're listening to some music, dude. We're having a good old jolly time, right? And we get over to, listen, I didn't know where we were going. I just had an address. But we pulled up to a smoke shop. And I was like, okay, are we going to, does he need a piece? Like, is he getting a torch? Like, I was a little bit confused. And I'm getting ready to get out of the car. And he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, well, aren't we going in? And he's like, no, just wait here. He's coming to us. So I'm like, oh, okay, for sure. So I chill in the car for a minute. He says, all right, he said he's coming out. I'm like, okay, still not really processing what's going on here. And dude comes out of the smoke shop and comes over to the car. And since, at this point, I was still driving my little car, right? I was still driving my own little thing, right? He comes up to the car. I don't really know why I made a point that I was driving my own car. Listen, I'm fucking stoned right now. Either way, okay? Dude comes up to my car and he leans in. He daps up Michael. He daps me up and introduces himself. We're going to call him Zane. He daps me up. He says, yo, I'm Zane. Nice to meet you. I'm like, Zane. Okay. Interesting name. But what's going on, man? And he shows us this little container of wax that he's got. It's in one of those little like rubber puck pellet things, that everyone back in high school used to store their wax in. And he shows this to us and he's like, yeah, dude, it's pretty fire, bro. It's a little bit of shatter. And we're looking at it and we're like, this looks pretty decent, right? Like this looks pretty nice. I'm all for this. Let's go. So we throw him the money. We ended up paying $40 for this gram. And we are hype at this point. Dude daps us up. He's like, oh, for sure, dude. We're hype at this point. And we leave. And we go back to Michael's house. And I'm asking him, I'm like, yo, like, you should have asked him what strain this is. Like, you should have hit him up and shit. And he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Let me hit him up. I'll ask, right? So we're chilling. We're cruising back. And he eventually, maybe 5 minutes later, he gets a Snapchat. And he opens his Snapchat. And he's like, well, the plug said it's lemon punch. No, I'm like, wait a minute. I've never heard of lemon punch. There's a lot of strains out there that are lemon something, but I've never heard of lemon punch. But at the time, I didn't think much of it because back in high school, I didn't really know which strain names were legit and which weren't. I was just smoking whatever sounded exotic. It was fucking high school, bro. I didn't care. So we got our quote unquote legend or lemon punch. Pardon me. I almost said legend, dude. I'm fucking baked. Either way. And we're cruising back, and we get to Michael's house. And we go inside, and he pulls out his little rig. And he's got one of those little old-school titanium bangers and the torch. And I'm hyped, dude. I'm like, yes, we're finally dabbing. We've got the goods. This is what we've been waiting on all day, right? We're skipping school, bro. It's still so early in the day. Like, it wasn't even 1 p.m. at this point. It was still so early in the day. And I don't know. Nowadays, you kind of take that for granted. But back in high school, just, like, getting baked early in the day hit different, dude. It hit different. Nowadays, I don't know, it's not the same, but back then, it just felt like a reward. It felt like a treat, being able to get baked really early in the day back then and just get to chilling. So, he heats up his banger and he takes this dab. And all is well, right? Like, it's not a super strong smelling wax, and it didn't look all that great. It was kind of a darker gold, but it was kind of shatter. Like, it was kind of shatter, but it was pretty dark. You really couldn't see through it. It just didn't look very good. But for high school standards, it was not bad looks-wise. And it smelled okay. A little light on the smell, but I didn't think anything of it at the time. But we'll get to that part. We'll get to why I should have thought more of that. So, Michael takes his dab, and he starts coughing a fucking lung up. And I'm like, oh, shit. This is going to be decent. And he passes it to me. And I heat up the banger, right? I let it cool for a minute, and then I heat up the banger. And the whole time, he's just coughing a lung up. So I'm starting to get hype. I'm like, oh, shit. This is going to be some decent wax, His face was red. He was coughing a lot. And I was like, bet, dude. This is going to be fire, right? I'm getting hyped. So I heat up the banger. I get it, glowing hot. I hold my hand over it, wait till it feels like a warm summer day. Because that's the trick I was taught. Whenever you're heating up a banger and you're not timing it, I was taught to heat it up till it's red hot and then hold your hand over it until it feels like a warm summer day. And then you're good to go. That, like, if it hurts to hold your hand over it, then you shouldn't do it yet. That's what I was told. But either way, that's probably a terribly inaccurate way of measuring it. But back in high school, that was like what my friends went by. So I heat this up, and I drop my dab on there. And it wasn't a very fat one, Like, honestly, we were high schoolers. It probably wasn't even a 0.1. It was probably a pretty tiny dab. But at the time, it was a whatever, right? It was like, I'm just so hyped to get this. It was a fat dab to me, right? It was a fat dab to me. Hey, hydration break, gamers. So let's get a little sip of water. Oh my God, that hit different. Okay, back on topic. So, I dropped my dab on there and I hit it, and immediately I am just smacked by the roughest feeling hit. And I originally attributed it to like, okay, his rig's filthy, because it was. This motherfucker had a dirty ass rig, and I hit this, and by the time I hit this, Michael had kind of snapped out of the whole coughing phase, and he was just sitting there kind of watching me take my dab. And I take my dab, and I start coughing pretty hard as well. But I noticed that something's wrong right off the bat. With dabs, and especially at this point, because I still, I don't even think at this point I really, I wasn't a heavy dabber at this point. I really wasn't. But I noticed that right off the bat, I didn't feel high. And normally, back then, I feel like no matter what, now I still do, but back then it was such an immediate couch locked, such an instant, as soon as that smoke hit my lungs, I was fucking baked. That's how dabs got me back then. And I noticed that as soon as I took this, that was not at all what was happening. Did I feel a difference? Yes, a little tiny bit. But it felt more akin to maybe I hit a blunt one time, but not even. I really wasn't that high at all. And honestly, looking back at it, I really think that this was just some leftover resin that I got high off of, some leftover junk in the fucking banger or whatever, That is the only thing that made me feel the difference. But I take this dab, and I notice that, and I don't say anything. And Michael pipes up first. And I was assuming he was just going to take another dab, but he was like, this shit's kind of weak. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we got to wait. Maybe it's like a longer acting kind of thing. So we start really chiefing heavy. He's like, all right, you want to go hard? And at this point, we still didn't realize we got fucked. We just thought okay, maybe this is a long, we got to wait longer for this strain to hit, I've had that experience before where I smacked some weed and I was like, damn, this is some trash. And then 10 minutes later, I was fucking locked down, dude. I was stuck, did not move from that position for a long time. I've had that happen, so I didn't think much of it. So Michael takes another dab. And I'm chilling, we're just bumping some music and we're hanging out. And man, I miss kicking it with Michael. If you're out there watching this video, dude, we got to link up soon, homie. I miss kicking it with this guy. We had great times together in high school. We didn't hang out super often. We really exclusively hung out when we skipped school. Honestly, I don't know why that was. But that's just how it was. But man, this was the boy. But either way, so we were chilling out and we were smacking these fucking dabs, right? We were getting absolutely cuckoo. Cuckoo in the sense that we were hyped, not that we were actually stoned. But he takes a second dab. He coughs a little less. And this time he took a bigger one. And I take a bigger one too, right? I went halfsies on this, so half of this was my take home. So I took a fat one too. And I realized, I'm like, hey, the same thing. I still am not high. It got to the point where the whole entire rota went back to him. He took his dab. It came to me. I heated it and took my dab, and I didn't get high. And by then, we knew something was wrong. So we're pissed. And I'm like, yo, dude. I'm like, I think you should ask, ask the plug what's up. I really, this ain't shit, dude. This is some trash, right? And Michael was pissed. You could see it on his face. He was mad. He took his hat off and he threw it, bro. He was pissed because this was all our money that we just spent. We each had a little $20 on us and we threw that, right? This was all it's not like we could re-up more. All we had was this boo-boo. It really killed the vibe, right? I'm talking maybe we had some blunt roaches to smoke, right? I'm not going to say we were sober the rest of the day because we weren't. We smoked those blunt roaches, bro. No doubt. But I'm saying, man, we were in trouble. So instead of him, hopping on his phone like I expected, just talking shit, he's like, yo, let's go. And I don't ask where. I just go get in my car because I had a hunch where we were going already, and I was correct. We go back to the smoke shop. And this time, Michael gets out of the car, and he's like, come on, bro. And we go into the smoke shop. And this kid's working there. I don't know how Michael met this fucking guy, but also this kid was way too young to be working at the smoke shop. It was one of those really sketchy like stores where it's either a Paki or like a Indian or like an Arab guy, right? That runs the store, and they never give a fuck about any rules or regulations, right? You're not getting carded. You don't give a fuck, right? It was one of those stores. You could just tell because it didn't have a name. It just said it literally just said like smoke shop or like tobacco, like it literally just said tobacco. It was fucked. So we go into this shop and there's this kid working there, and it's the kid who came to the car, and we go up to the counter and Michael's pissed and he's like, "What the fuck did you sell me, bro?" And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Dude, that's some bullshit." He's like, "Whatever you sold me is like food. Like, what did you serve me?" And I'm looking in the counter, right? I'm looking around the shop because I'm letting them settle this at this point before I get involved. I'm not going to jump this kid. And also we're in a public business place, right? So I'm more there to mediate the situation, right? I'm more there to mediate the situation. Michael's like, "You better give me my fucking money back." And the guy, without hesitation, actually just gives him the money back. Like, he straight up just does it. And Michael's like, "You're fucking lucky I don't kick the shit out of you and take the rest of the money you fucking have." And then the guy gets a little pissed because he already gave the money back, yet, Michael was still going off on him. So he's like, "Bro, you're on fucking camera, dude. Like, you couldn't beat my ass in this shit, but we could take it outside, right?" And Michael just snaps. I will never forget this mental image. They have this big hookah on the counter, right? And they're separated by a countertop, right? This glass counter with like a bunch of like little bowls and products in it, right? And there's this big hookah on top of the counter. And after Zane makes the cameras comment, Michael just can't handle himself anymore. And he goes, "Fuck your cameras," and smacks the shit out of that hookah right off the counter. I'm talking, it didn't like tip over. No, clean off that counter. That shit caught airtime, dude. That was a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater move that the fucking hookah pulled off in the air. It did like a kickflip, dude. That shit moved. And as soon as he did that, he smacked that shit off. And then he just fucking booked it out of the store. I don't really know why he just booked it like that. He already had the money back, but he just booked it. And I knew why he booked it pretty quickly. I was kind of standing there in shock. And then someone comes out of the back room. And I knew that was Big Boss, man. It is this fucking tall ass. Granted, old, but like giant ass man, dude. I'm talking the biggest Middle Eastern man I've ever seen in my fucking life, in real life. This guy comes out the back, and this bald motherfucker, oh my god, dude. This guy, honest to God, probably should have been a bouncer. Like, at one point in his life, he comes out the back, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. And as soon as I see this guy, I'm out, dude. I'm already near the door to begin with. I'm out. I fly back to my car, bro. And this all happened in a split second. Like, this guy, I don't even think the giant bald man processed that I was there. Like, as soon as I saw the silhouette of him coming out of the back, like the curtains, I was fucking gone, dude. I was absolutely gone. So we get back out to my car, and we're pulling off, and the dude, like, comes out, and he's, like, chasing after my car, and I fucking step on him. Michael's like, "Go, dude, fucking go." He's like, "I gotta block him right now." He's like, "Dude, fuck, that was terrible." And I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, you fucking ruined that hookah, and, like, probably a lot of other shit in there. Because I didn't really pay attention, but that hookah was, like, feet tall. Feet, right? I'm talking big time. So... right? I don't know. Like, that had to have collateral damage. It must have hit, like, at least another product on display or something and done some more damage. But, like, holy shit. We're in my car, and we fucking dip out of here. And I'm speeding the whole way back. My heart is I didn't even do anything. I just witnessed the whole event, bro. But he got our money back, and I was like, "Michael, you're a legend for that action." He's like, "Dude, I really didn't mean to do that to the hookah. I just kind of got angry when you made that camera comment." He's like, "Dude, he was giving me attitude after he tried to fuck me. Like, that's petty." And I pointed out to him, I realized as we were in the car, I'm like, "Dude, I'm pretty sure he just sold us, like, some shit right out of their shop." And he was like, "Really?" And I realized... I'd noticed in the shop, right? And you know how when you go to smoke shops a lot, they sell CBD products. And it's really common now. Back in the day, this wasn't very common. So I was like, this is probably the first time I'd ever seen this in a smoke shop back then. But in this shop, they had CBD dabs, like just for sale. They had CBD dabs. And I noticed that as Michael was arguing with him, I looked and I noticed that. I was like, holy shit, that looks kind of like what we got. I don't think it was in different containers, but I'm like, dude, he probably just repackaged it, honestly. You probably grabbed one of those out of there and repackaged it. And obviously, I didn't really put two and two together until after the fact, and I kind of realized. But once I put two and two together, I was like, oh, that dirty bastard, he totally deserved that, right? But hey, Michael was cuckoo, dude. We got back to his crib. We got our money back. I mean, we ended up grabbing some weed later that day. It was sick. But hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out Filter in the description. Use code GOBLIN50. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Peace.